You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series and syndicating for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the conversation on this podcast episode features myself, of course, and the members of a German outfit called Oomph. The reason for the conversation is to promote their due in 2019 album. It's called Ritual. So let's have a listen to what the lads have to say. Here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. It just dropped
can
out
you
then.
hear me?
Can indeed.
Okay, perfect. I'm already sitting here with Oomph and Crab, Flux and Dero, and I will hand you over now.
Thanks a lot, Claudia.
Enjoy.
Thanks. Gentlemen, how are you?
Fine, thank you very much. You're the second interview partner for today, so we're still alive and kicking.
Excellent. Well, I'll try and make this as interesting and as easygoing and as entertaining as I possibly can for you then, because I imagine you've got a long day ahead.
Yeah, everything's fine. Thank you.
No worries. Now, look, I've got to be honest. When Chris reached out, I hadn't actually heard of you guys prior, but I did a lot of research, and then I realised that you were the guys that actually led to Rammstein or inspired Rammstein doing what they did. So congratulations on that, but I guess it leads me to my first question, which is that how do we get you guys to become bigger or more known in countries like Australia and the USA?
We need a fucking scandal.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it, but it was interesting to read your history, and you stretch right back to the late 80s, of course, as you will know because you were in the band. But for people here in Australia, mate, we haven't heard the music, and I think you do really well out here.
Thank you. Well, yeah, for us it's pretty brilliant to see or to hear in interviews that bands like Rammstein themselves say that without Oomph, there never wouldn't have been my band. So yeah, that's a good thing, and we're proud of this fact. But of course, we try and be bigger all over the world ourselves, and let's see what we can do in Australia. We've never been there, so hopefully we're gonna come to your beautiful country.
The first step is now that we signed to Napalm Records, because before that, I think there has never been a record released of us in Australia before, and now it's for the first time that you can buy our records in your country.
I think you're right, mate. Yeah, you're spot on, and I think this is the album for it too. This one here. So I've had a good listen to it. I've got an advanced copy just via stream, and I was listening to it in the car on the way home. So that'd be my first point. This is excellent driving music, and in Australia, as you know, we're a bloody big country and we drive everywhere. So this is music that'll go really well for Australians in their cars. But do you think this is the album that'll give you guys the nudge? Of course, you've got Napalm behind you. You've got Chris here in Australia that'll be doing the things for you. But is this the album that you're really proud of, that you want to put your stamp on and when you're being introduced to the Australian audiences?
Sure, I think it's a real good average of what we did so far. Of course, as a band, as you mentioned, of the late '80s, who grew up with stuff like Kraftwerk, Depeche Mode, The Cure, Sisters of Mercy, influenced by this shit also, and on the other hand, we were pretty much into stuff like Motorhead, Iron Maiden, AC/DC. And when we started with Oomph, we said, why not combine both worlds? Because back then they were separated strictly. Everybody who was into metal and hard rock hated everything about synthesizers and vice versa. I mean, the synth fraction just hated everything about long hair and metal music and rock music. So we wanted to combine both worlds and integrate German provocative lyrics. And this is why we are called the inventors of Neue Deutsche Härte, I guess.
Yeah, and you've hit on an important point there, because I did do my research in terms of early on, there were quite a lot of songs that they had English titles at least, and then I think they had English language in the lyrics as well. But since 2004, so sincere apologies here because I don't speak German, but I'm going to try and pronounce the album from 2004. So is that Wahrheit oder Fixed? Fixed? Is that
Wahrheit oder Fixed?
Okay,
yeah.
There you go. So you've only been singing in German since there. So what inspired you to adopt a German language only policy for songwriting from that album onwards?
Well, over the years, I think I got more comfortable with my mother tongue, and I've got the feeling that I can, just reflect myself more intensely and in a more deep way, because I'm not a native English speaker. So all the twists and double meanings that you need to create a cool song. Are hard for me to do in English. So, that's why I decided to just remain with my mother tongue.
No, fair enough, mate. Well, it works. It actually gives, for people who don't speak German, like myself, German's a very powerful language. It carries a lot of weight, and it actually matches up with your music really well. So I think it's a good decision from a musical perspective as well.
Yeah, thank you. I've got the feeling too. Well, German is a real, as you said, real edgy and tough and rough language, in contrast to English, which is a real musical language. And most of the times, the German hook lines just give you the riff, So it's because the German language is so rhythmical, and that's an advantage, because that's make it appear pretty suitable for the kind of music that we do, which is pretty riff orientated.
Indeed. The other thing I'm digging here about the new album is the cover. So is there a story behind that? Because it'll look great on T-shirts.
Well, I think our world is packed with rituals, and of course we wanted to have a mysterious title and mysterious cover, and which is interesting, and which asks a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, as a musician, your daily routine is packed with rituals, and there's also rituals which are not really necessary anymore within our society, or which are even scary. There's ritual murders, for example, and so it's a real many-sided title, if you want so.
Hey, look, I've had a chat to a lot of German artists in the past, and I've only gone there a couple of times, but I'm going to go here now on this one here. Of course, we get what we get in the news in Australia about some of the changes to Germany in the last couple of years, with a lot of the Syrian migrants going in and the like. But do you guys have a take on what's happening there with that, and has it had a big impact on the way you guys can go about creating music?
Well, life's about changes anyways, and so it is with Europe. I think Europe now is on the edge. I mean, it used to be kind of like a friendship in between many countries, and they built a trust, and because before the last 80 years, Europe was about warfare, wars and wars and wars. So that's a good thing about the European community, or the European collaboration, if you want so. But there's also bad parts, of course, economical stuff, the regulamentations from Brussels, and and of course now we got to deal with the fact that our long-lasting delivering of weapons to areas which are really packed with crisis and bad people. The boomerang comes back. So of course, if your whole economy is built up on take profit from poorer ones, in third world countries, then you don't have to wonder why people from there are coming to also take profit of your kind of living. So this is not a real new thing. It used to be like that for the last 10 years almost. So but of course now it's getting heavier and heavier concerning this fact, and we have to deal with it. And of course there's cultures who come together, which are maybe not that suitable. Of course, it's Europe is about freedom of speech, and it's about diversity, and it's about equality of men and women. And there's many people coming from other cultures who don't get along with how we live. So this causes problems, and we have to deal with those problems. And as it seems, there's many countries, especially countries who are self-titled pretty Christian orientated, who cannot deal with those different cultures, and who don't want to accept people from Muslim countries.
Well, I think a lot of Australians just hope that these migrants and refugees recognise the wonderful opportunity they're given to go into such a beautiful country like Germany, and they respect that. I think that's the genuine hope that a lot of people the globe over, not just in Australia, face, because Germany is shouldering a lot of the responsibility there that could definitely be spread to other countries in the EU. But you people in Germany have been extraordinarily generous, so I really hope it works out, mate. I don't know what else to say on that one there. You know, it's a very tough thing to deal with, I think, in a lot of respects, but I just hope it works out.
Well, actually, it's a global problem, I think, because our whole Western society is built up on the fact that our economy just works when people in the third world suffer, or people in the third world do not earn enough, or work under circumstances which are not proper. So this is our whole system works that way. So. And now everybody's wondering why it does not work anymore. Yeah, because it's over. It's the whole system does not work anymore, and those are just the symptoms of this fact.
Well said. Very well said. So, talking about Australia, you must have got some feedback from us over the years, because you've been going almost 30 years now. So you must have got some feedback from us in that time. You know, some people that found you. I know that in the years gone by, I've heard of Diarza. Apologies, my German's very bad, as you can tell. So I think the band was called Diarza, and Itchy was the other band. There are a few bands that sort of, they never came here, but you heard about them through friends of friends, that sort of thing. So have you had any Australians reaching out to you via email or via social media saying, "Oh, you come over here. We'd love to have you over here for some shows"?
Sure, that's a good thing about the digital media, you know, because there's so many people who get in contact with you via Facebook or via Instagram or whatever, and also a couple of people from Australia say, "Oh, you have to play here because." On the one hand, it's a real beautiful country, and on the other hand, you got a certain amount of people who you play live in Australia. So yeah, we would really like to come to you guys. That's a good thing. I mean, even though I've never been to Australia, I must admit, but our cliches about Australia is only dangerous animals, you know. So you have to be very careful, and the people there are the ones who drink the most beer worldwide, you know.
Yeah, I think both of those things are true, especially where I'm from. So, yeah, a lot of beer drinking and a lot of venomous animals not in my backyard, but in the backyard one over, so next door, effectively, so probably 15 metres from where I'm sitting. A brown snake was caught a couple of years back, which will probably kill you if you don't get an anti-venom if you're bitten by one of them. But generally speaking, because we're so used to animals that are trying to kill us or will kill us if we infringe on their territory, we just know what to do. We just don't go and piss them off.
Yeah, sure.
You know. So, hey, I'll make this my last question. Okay, I always try to make my last question an interesting one, but I host a Not Safe for Work podcast, okay? So, as not safe for work, a story as you want to share, can you share with me the most bizarre or strangest experience you've had since you've been in the band?
Oh, well, there were a couple of, actually. I remember that we were in Stockholm in the beginning of the 90s. Actually, it was 1993, I think. And we were at some bizarre piercing studio where I got some piercings back then. And the other band members were just hanging around on the first floor and having some beer and schnapps and stuff, and gotten drunk more and more. And later on, I came down and said, "Oh well, I got some new piercings, and we want to see the studio up there." And so we went up there, and so the lady was, I don't know, almost 2 meters high, domina, really huge muscled domina in leather clothes. And Flux, for example, was really interested in some bizarre things about S&M, and he was like, "What's that? What's this? What's that?" And she said, "I'm going to show you." And so put him handcuffs and feet cuffs, and then he was just there fixed, and then she put down his trousers, and he was there naked, and she put some bizarre stuff on his scrotum and his penis and his nipples. And that was a strange thing. I can imagine. It was like it was just a bit like Beavis and Butthead, if you remember those two guys. So yeah, that was really strange. Stockholm, which is a real nice city, by the way, and I would like to go back there. It's really, the Swedish people are so nice and handsome. Really cool.
Thank you for sharing my private story.
Well,
thank you very much.
I remember all those. All those clamps on your scrotum and on your nipples, and it was really cool. And she said, "As long as you don't say stop, I won't stop." And he was like, "Oh yeah, it begins to hurt. But is it still good? Yeah, in a way it is." He said. So yeah, it was really bizarre and cool the same way. So yeah.
Sweet. Well, you're a braver man than I am. I'll hand that to you. I could never do it. Even if I was drunk, I'd run the other way as quickly as I could.
So no yeah, there's some more bizarre, but that's just one that came to my mind immediately. So. Cool.
All right. Well, look, guys, thank you so much for the opportunity. God will get it out to have a chat. Ritual's a fantastic album. I really hope it does wonderful things for you guys. You certainly deserve success. You've been at it for a long time, but if even just taking Ritual as a standalone offering from you guys, it's very strong, and I think it will do the business for you guys. So I'll support it. Chris is doing the work over here. We'll see what we can do for you here in Australia.
Thank you very much. Maybe if we add some fire, it could work. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We'll see what we can do. Thanks, gents. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Catch you.
Bye.
Bye. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series and syndicating for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that conversation featured the members of a German outfit called Oomph. Thanks so much for listening.